one of the things I do you know the Vigilant Fox?
The Vigilant Fox.
This is the future of, I think the way I would put it is this is the future for Twitter of content. This is what Elon posts this guy. He retweets him. Vigilant Fox is an ex-user who's fucking insane and is just like makes up shit and then just clips the shit out of a couple things and creates threads. His entire existence is stuff like this. If you just go like find his profile, it's all a writer, video clipper, pro-freedom citizen. And it's like literally, here's what happened next. And it's like, that's all of his posts. And then there are all these like, engagement farming threads. That's what he does over and over. Over and over and over and over.
RFK's Jr.'s face just terrifies me every single time I see it. There's something wrong with it.
Well,
it's just,
yeah.
He looks AI generated. I don't believe he's real.
I got to tell you, I think in HD, we would not be super excited about JFK's face these days. So, especially after the accident. So the setup here is simple. He's talking about, and he reveals that, RFK Jr. just named the government agency behind America's geoengineering nightmare. For years, they told us chemtrails were just a conspiracy theory. RFK Jr. isn't just confirming crimes are happening. He's exposing exactly who's behind them.
That crimes, quote unquote, why is it in quotes? Crimes, quote unquote, are happening.
4.5 million views of mostly bots, probably, but still, as far as like engagement on Twitter goes, that's a solid number.
Oh.
So as we dive in, do yourself a favorite bookmark. So he just goes through, he's like, hey, by the way, here is chemtrails. And this is what jets are spewing everywhere. The chemtrails are insane. And this got posted by the Vigilant Fox, posted this, and this guy, here's the tweet, and here's RFK Jr. going, we're going to stop this crime because this is the hell world we live in.
This is how you prove chemtrails, okay? This is the information you need. You need to like figure out the days that people are reporting chemtrails and the number of searches for, oh, my testicles are suddenly smaller. Is this a medical emergency on Google? And if you find a correlation, then you know those are the chemtrail ones.
Enjoy this.
Oh, no.
RFK sat down with Dr. Phil and stunned the audience when a woman named Emily asked him point blank about toxic aerosols. This is someone who think about now again, Dr. Phil is not Alex Jones, right? I mean, he kind of is a little bit now. But this is on his show.
My biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day.
She wasn't laughed off. People didn't giggle. This is accepted discourse.
Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be
why you only eat organic vegetables, right? Continue.
In the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
So
what's happening?
Oh God, I hate this man's voice. It's just ugh.
I know it's awful, but
it's like garbage pail Palpatine.
Here is what a member of the American government, the Cabinet Secretary of Health and Human Services, said in response.
That is not happening in my agency. We
in Health and Human Services, we don't do this.
Don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA.
Oh God.
Fucking what the fuck?
And a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Sir, why are you heading to the health department? You can barely breathe.
I like that. We think it's DARPA. Which I love. Because again, he's at the cabinet level in the presidential office, which oversees DARPA.
Yeah.
I like this. This is like the conspiracy theory.
Maybe he meant HARP.
HARP is, if you didn't know, a DARPA project. Was that an unintentional good joke?
I actually didn't know that.
And HARP's a big one. That's weather changing stuff.
Yeah, well, I know what it is. I just didn't know it was that.
It's overly clever. Defense agency. DARPA is where the defense industry at large for the government spends tons of R&D money. That's what DARPA stands for, effectively. Defense agency research, blah, 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 some other shit like that. And they do like really boring stuff to really exciting stuff. And it's the boogeyman in conspiracy theories for like 40 years. Ooh. Mostly what they do is kind of boring shit.
Interesting. So you're half right, apparently. So in early May 2013, HARP was temporarily shut down, awaiting a change between contractors to operate the facility. In July 2013, HARP program manager James Keeney said that DARPA is expected on site as a client to finish up some research in fall 2013 and winter 2014. So they are a client. They have been a client.
They're a client of HARP, which probably is run by Jews.
King David did play a harp.
I'm genuinely like always amazed. And now we're at the point where the people who have the most power in the government, who claim the ability to do anything and see everything and be able to get into every document that there is and everything, are also claiming that there are still pockets of the deep state in things like DARPA and other shit that just no one can find. Like, we don't know where this stuff is. It's wild. And it's like, that's kind of amazing to me. I thought this was amazing. He simply said, it's done by DARPA. Let that sink in. The Pentagon's secretive tech arm, best known for creating experimental weapons and surveillance tools.
I'm just struggling to understand why DARPA would have an interest in chemtrails on Americans.
I mean, again, you just aren't thinking about it right, because DARPA just wants to do evil things.
Well, I mean, clearly what they're actually trying to do is cull the population of sentient mind parasite worms. I
mean, maybe the worm was working for the Cubans.
I mean, he kind of looks like an earthworm, doesn't he? Like one of
where else there are worms? Bottles of tequila.
That's not earthworms. It's
No, it's not earthworms. I don't think he had earthworms in his brain either. I don't think he had an earthworm in his brain.
Looking at him,
that would be funny.
I think he's got earthworms in many places in his body. Mezcal worm. It's actually an insect. Mezcal worm. It's an insect. It's not even a worm. It's a larvae. You.
The
red worm is typically considered tastier, apparently, than the white one.
Whatever you want to call it, I know it's in mezcal. I'm not, whatever. We call it tequila worms. Americans don't understand other cultures, and we have weird idioms that utilize other cultures out of context. If you didn't know, I can recommend some books on it. Regardless, he is fascinating. I think this is.
I find he's one of those few people where it's like, yes, but also, I just physically have trouble watching him.
You're not alone in that. He is just awful, kind of in every single way. And there's nothing good about him. I mean, I'm not going to say otherwise. There's nothing good about anything he does or how he does it.
That is a deep one right there. That's what that is. That is the Innsmouth look on that man's face.
Yeah, that's fair. It's very strange. Oh, God. We are nearing the multi-hour mark, though. Is there any other stuff you wanted to go over today, or because I know there's a lot of stuff we didn't even get a chance to sort of get to ultimately.
Let me go through
there's the depressing stuff around more stuff even being erased. You had the piece.
Oh yeah.
We can spend more time on it tomorrow, probably though.
Friday.
Friday. Let's do it now. We're gonna do it now.
Let's do it now.
Friday, I'm going to have a different conversation. All right. Well, Sunday, you posted it up. What?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it because the organization of the site I have to get used to still. Where the hell did I put that?
I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, but I can't scroll through it then. Yeah, so today, I think, my sense of time isn't great these days, either today or yesterday, mostly because I'm scrolling my phone at like 3 a.m.
Oh, shit.
Trump let go of something to the tune of 400 climate scientists.
Yep.
Just unceremoniously gone. This is obviously from before that. There is a problem right now where it's not just a matter of what this article goes into. We've talked a lot about on this channel how the hack and slash blind dissembling of different elements of bureaucracy, some of which probably could be pared down by like a more conscientious eye, but that is not happening, is resulting in tremendous amounts of not just knowledge loss, but also basic didn't fix it, but also a basic breakdown of the ability of these organizations to replicate themselves, because their expertise is gone. People learn on the. It's like with factories. People adjust to on the ground realities, and
that was a super chat. You didn't want me to fix super chats.
No, I wanted you to fix super chats and not fix tips.
The other way, I thought.
Yeah.
No.
Reverse that. Yeah.
Tips are the. Why would we want every $2 super chat to be yelled at us?
We don't. We want every $2 tip to be yelled at us.
Yeah, that wasn't a tip.
Yeah, but it made a ding.
Yeah, it still makes a noise when someone donates.
Ugh. Anyways, what this article goes into is something else, where it's like data maintenance and also like referencing and the ability to collate information between different departments to preserve and to update our understanding of the climate, as well as like the historical backlog of climate change data.
The archiving.
That is the archiving of it. All of that is being destroyed, and it's not necessarily retrievable.
No, it's not.
Like there's some kinds of things where it's like, this is published information, it can be found, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of the stuff that's not published, a lot of the stuff that hasn't been used yet, a lot of this stuff. It's look, we are on a very short timeline where literally the part of this rock we're on, that is the condition of human life to exist, is rampantly altering in ways that will just permanently change the shape of inhabitable land on this planet. And not only have all of the experts who are tracking this been fired, or a very large number of them, the information that is required for people in that position, say once rehired to do their job, is being permanently effaced.
And gone. To read from it directly,
yes,
there's real concern that the data may go away, that the satellites, measurements that have been collected for 40 plus years may not continue. Santer told a room of more than 100 science students and environmental researchers at Stanford University last month. He was there to deliver a lecture hosted by Students for Sustainable Stanford and sponsored the university's Woods Institute for the Environment. It's not just a loss of institutional memory, he said. It's the dismantling of the tools that proved what is happening to the environment over the last few decades and the causes. The evidentiary chain, he warned, may break.
That's the crux of it, too. When you're talking about like any sort of long-term scientific endeavor, you're talking fundamentally about a social system. You're talking about this information was handled by these people and then conveyed to this next generation of people, and so on and so forth. And you have a canon and a general, a continuous process. And when that is severed, that may never be picked up again. This happens a lot in philosophy, weirdly, where, for example, a lot of work that is very influential, that yields massive amounts of attention, something happens in the culture, it's not paid attention to anymore, and it is literally just gone. It just doesn't disappear anymore. It's one of the cool things about Deleuze, that he brings up a lot of these philosophers that were forgotten to time, but forgotten to time over the span of less than 100 years. This is terrifying, actually, because we're likely going to find ourselves in a place that is...
Bruno Latour is rolling in his grave right now.
Bruno Latour is rolling in
alive.
His grave.
Is he alive?
Bruno Latour passed a few years ago.
Oh. 3 years ago. Damn. I think we had this exact conversation already.
We have twice, actually.
Okay.
So this will be the third time, which is fine because I prefer also to live in a world where Latour is still alive. And that would be nice if I could also forget that.
Instead, we live in one where he's apparently dying every
couple of years. I have to have the conversation. Yeah, the function of all of these things kind of puts us in a really weird place. And like someone in chat is like, why is it the US's role? Well, there's actually like our sort of setup as a thing, and it's not so much that the US is actually in control of climate change or that it's up to us. We actually have the most funding. We're probably one of the wealthier nations in the world, if not the wealthiest nation in the world, with the UK and then China, I think, following up as like the three when it sets up to that. But the research institutions as a thing tend to be at the places that have the best research institutions, which is going to be the Ivy League schools of America. From in overseas you get there's Swiss schools, there's Oxford, Zurich, for example, is pretty huge. But to like not realize that Harvard or Stanford or Yale or like all these other places that are major scientific hubs that do this, and how much money is put there and what their endowment is and how much like effort and time, these things aren't collated by private institutions. And this is what Sunday's talking about here. And it's the thing that is important is the state side that exists for academics, the government funded education and how that's stored and how that's kept, and having, again, the chain of evidence, who actually is running these satellites. It ain't Musk right now. I know Musk wants it to be him, but he also doesn't have satellites doing any of the research that we have NASA building these things for. The way these things are done, how all this information is collated, where it's brought together, all of that shit. It's important for that reason. And, Europe's got its own, for sure. Africa has its own. China is doing a huge amount. Australia is doing its own thing. But the U.S. is, for a lot of reasons, in that unique position. Or at least we were, because as this evidentiary chain dies, it will be necessary for us to sort of move to secondary position, which is going to be the UK, and just be waiting for that to go away for the third position to be China. Like, who's going to be continuing and keeping this linchpin for all of this data if it isn't the US government? And that's the thing that's being sort of destroyed here. With any luck, the IPCC, which is the international group that does this, has been maintaining connections to all this, has been holding on to it.
And one of the things, like there was that nuclear scientist, I can't remember if it was a nuclear scientist, but that guy who was held up, the French guy who was held up at the border because, he had American nuclear secrets. Better send him abroad very quickly. France, in response, was offering essentially asylum to researchers in the United States. And one of the things that I would love to see happen that would be very positive is if these people don't just end up going into private life, they end up finding new opportunities for research elsewhere so that the tradition can continue, their work can continue at a more international scale, which it was largely at this point as well. Like it's a lot of the technology is being facilitated by the United States. A lot of the record keeping is. That's where a lot of the danger is. But that institutional expertise can be preserved, provided that these people are given somewhere to land and to teach and to continue to be involved and so on and so forth. One of the problems here, again, is like you can't just hire people that take decades of training and centuries even of institutional discipline to produce. You can't just generate them. It's not like a strategy game where it's like, oh, we need more scientists, start generating more science.
Yep. Sunday doesn't know that I fucking crashed out. 1 second.
The on-the-ground knowledge.
You're going to have to state again. For some reason, it disconnected me.
Oh, that's okay. Are we back?
We are back.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you had the wherewithal to cut that extensive racist rant I just went on, Brooks. Thank you for having
I do what I can for you,
buddy. I don't.
I do what I can for you. Sorry about that. Eventually, we'll have no
Look.
technical issues.
Eventually, we'll be signed into a Musk-owned system to do any of this. Are you mad Apple capitulated to Trump? Capitulated to Trump
because they're gonna build one of those factories here, just like they did the first time around. Remember that very successful Foxconn factory that ended up not being a factory, ended up being empty land, ended up being not the 100,000 jobs or the 10,000 jobs, but hundreds of jobs.
Nobody talks about the wall anymore that Mexico's going to pay for.
Yeah, eventually they'll pay for it. Again, look, people don't care about on that side. They don't care about these things. The way that pollution is operating and the reasons to take it seriously, they're just going to say all day, "Oh, we're shitting on China." The chatter we've had, who's been sitting here talking about how Chinese work on slave wages, really, because they get paid a third of what we get paid. A third. That's the average salary in China. So we're 3x, I guess. That's great. China is the number one polluter. They've been working. As someone who's traveled extensively to Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, I can tell you right now that the last 10 or 15 years, China has changed in terms of air quality and setup. It's very, very different than it used to be.
Yeah.
Again, they're making changes because
those old images of Beijing. I mean, they still happen, but
oh, dude, when I used to go in the mid-10s, I would literally go to a store. I would expense because it was for work. I would expense an outfit or two, and I would have one dress shirt underneath a suit coat that I bought for it that I was planning to throw out when I got back because the whites, and you wouldn't buy white because wherever your suit coat was, it would actually darken and blacken everything else because there was so much shit in the air. I have pairs of shoes
from the air.
Just in the air. I have shoes that were ruined by a 2-day trip to Shanghai just walking around because they were changed from, they were suede, which is stupid of me, but they were changed from to being muddy, gross black. It's disgusting.
No, they're like I'm reading here. They're down like 42% compared to where they were. When you look at photos of Beijing in like 2010, you're looking at a place that looks like something out of Lord of the Rings, the bad part of Lord of the Rings. When in fact, people would, a lot of right wingers like to joke about China being Mordor, or if they weren't really joking, were they? Now, when you look at it, you can see pictures of blue skies and the sun reflected off of skyscrapers. It's a world of difference.
Hi,
a happy thought.
Oh, I don't have a happy thought, but I have a secret to tell you.
No, it's about a happy thought. Hello?